Hello, hello. Welcome back to Premed Office Hours, episode 176. It's the last Wednesday in November, so we've got a few more Premed Office Hours before the end of the year. I am Rachel Grubbs. I'm the MAPT and medical school co-founder. I've got 20 years of advising an MCAT pre-med process. I do believe Ryan Gray is joining me today. I think he's just, he's logging in now. He needed a quick bio break. So Dr. Gray and I will be here to answer your questions today. How are you, Ryan Gray?
I'm fine. Takes me a little bit longer with my tech setup to get on. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I was like, I'm just going to get going. I'll go say hi to them. So how was your long weekend / Thanksgiving if you celebrate, Ryan?
Who doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving?
Non-Americans?
Canadians do. Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was good. It's good. Ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. All right. Well, you're in charge. I just was taking the left till you were here.
Starting off fast, Fluffy Cookie, who wants to be a race car doctor. Not a race car doctor, a race car driver doctor.
I was so excited
a mechanic.
That like in the late summer, early fall, we told Fluffy Cookie when they won a ticket to MapCon that we were going to meet them in person. And then we did. The mystery behind the Fluffy Cookie.
The mystery behind the Fluffy Cookie. Fluffy says, I have seen some people online say it would be okay to get letters of recommendations from TAs and get it signed by the professor since we spend more time with TAs. Is this actually acceptable? Rachel, this comes up a bunch. What do you think?
I mean, I think if the TA and the professor agree to it, it is, right? The way you've worded it is a little bit weird. Like, sounds like TA writes, professor just signs, and, maybe if they have a high level of trust. But if the TA knows you better, then you might ask, like, hey, could you write a joint letter? Or TA, can you help the professor with this letter? But I think that you need letters from people who know you well. And I think the other thing you can think about, depending on where you are in your cycle with applying, is there time for you to get to know the professor better?
Yep. Yeah. Co-signing stuff is something that happens a lot, especially in the medical world, whether it's a nurse writing a letter and the doctor co-signing for kind of a physician letter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it happens. At the end of the day, the goal of a letter of recommendation is to have a letter that is strong and is able to speak about who you are as a person. And so a lot of times the TA gets to know you a lot better. Mm-hmm. Triumphant Cats. For a school that has a history of inviting some applicants back for a second interview, what would trigger this? Does it mean you had a bad interview report, but they like you enough for a second chance? So I want to ask for clarification here. Second interview, I'm assuming you're talking about during a second cycle. I don't know any school that's like, hey, we want to interview you. Hey, we want to interview you again for the same cycle. Rachel, have you ever heard of that?
I have not. So Triumph Cat. Oh, they just put in the chat, same cycle.
Yeah. The only potential Triumphant Cat, the only school that I know of that you may be thinking about here is Western Michigan, where they do a phone interview. And it's basically a screening interview. I don't know why they do it. And then they'll say, okay, great. Now we want you for a regular interview. I don't consider the kind of phone interview an interview. Maybe that's the school you're speaking about. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I that's just, I don't know why they do it. I would love to ask them. Maybe I should just reach out and ask them, say, hey, here's who I am. Can I ask a question? Because we get a lot of confusion about why you guys have this process. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Triumphant Cat. If it's Western Michigan, I would love for you to know. Would love to know if it's a different school. Let me know.
Yeah, and guys, I mean, this is part of us being experts, right? Things change and grow, so we keep an eye on it as it evolves.
Yep. Dawa. Hello, I'm applying next summer, and I'm not sure if I should ask my current fall semester professors for letters of recommendation before the semester ends or later. Rachel, another letter of recommendation timing question.
Yeah. I love these questions. We have lots of letter rec questions today, so that's great that you guys are thinking ahead. I typically recommend, and I've heard this from the members on our team who are former admissions officers, that it's better to have your letter dated the year you apply. So in your example, Dawa, you're applying next summer. I hope you mean next spring, by the way. Application cycle opens in May. But I would say it's probably better to actually get the letter when it's 2024, but there's no reason that you can't ask now. And in fact, even if someone's a freshman and they're not applying for 3 years, I think the easiest ask is, hey, I'm going to be applying to med school. I'd love for you to feel comfortable enough writing me a very strong letter of recommendation. Can I stay in touch? And in this case, you're probably just asking for the letter because you're going to want it in like 6 or 8 weeks anyway. But if you've got, because often the people who write those letters are your first and second year instructors, the professors from your basic prereqs. So it's great to have the conversation very early and keep in touch with that person. But yeah, it's not a huge deal, but I just optically it looks a little better if it's dated 2024.
Yep. And then just to kind of pitch my LORs, one of the benefits of using a third-party service like my LORs, also a part of Mapped Pro, is that you can start collecting letters as soon as you want. My LORs is $90 a year or $10 a month. And with my LORs, you request the letter directly inside of Mapped. The potential letter writer gets a notification that says, hey, Dawa would like a letter from you, yes or no. If they say yes, we'll let you know they agreed to write you a letter. And then when they're ready to upload a letter, they upload it directly to my LORs or Mapped is what it is. And then Mapped will hold on to that letter. We'll QA it. So we'll look for signature, letterhead, date, all the stuff that potentially can cause issues for you later on. And then you have peace of mind knowing that your letter is in, your letter is kind of quality checked to make sure it's not going to get rejected by an application service or school. And then when you're ready to apply to medical school, when you open up your AMCAS application, you give us some information that we need, and then we'll send that letter to the application service. The one caveat for my LORs is that we cannot send letters to TMDSAS. They have some weird rules that we just can't afford to play with.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll be able to manage all that red tape.
Ali, hello, Dr. Gray and Rachel. I came to the U.S. at the end of 2016, barely speaking English, and I graduated as a salutatorian. Would it be relevant to mention that transformation in my personal statement? Rachel, what's the personal statement for?
The personal statement has one prompt, and that prompt is why medicine? So, Ali, if you came to the U.S. specifically as part of your journey to become a doctor, maybe it shows up in your personal statement. But more likely, my guess is this story that you're speaking to, which does sound extraordinary, and I'm so proud of you, it probably goes in your other impactful essay. So in the primary application, when you apply to many med schools through one common service, you have the personal statement, which is why medicine, and it's only about why you want to pursue medicine. But there are other essays that you'll have a chance to share other parts of your life. And so I think that this is a great story that my guess is probably doesn't go in your personal statement. Go somewhere else.
Days T, if I accept the offer to a master's in medical sciences and pay the deposit, do I have to withdraw my application from medical schools I have not heard from? Nope. One is not tied to the other.
Hold out hope.
In your experience, does science GPA, hello Joshua, does science GPA with a straight 3.35 trend require post-bac work for DO schools? Rachel, is this an answerable question?
For one thing, Joshua, I mean, no, right? I'm going to disagree with your DO only, right? DO and MD both want to see great grades. And what I can't tell here is what the rest of your app looks like. You do say require post-bac work as opposed to anything else. Straight 3.35 trend, what does that mean? You got exactly 3.35 all 8 semesters? I don't know what that means. But yeah, if you're getting more B's than A's, I think one question you need to think about is how well have you mastered that science?
Yeah. Ethan, I'm going to ask for my first letter of recommendation from an organic chemistry professor after the semester. What resources do I need to supply my potential writer with?
Ethan, I love your question.
Why do you like that question?
Well, for one thing, Ethan, you're letting us plug MAP the second time in 10 minutes. So if you use my LORs in the MAP Pro level, we will recommend that you send them the official AAMC letter of rec writing guidelines. That's a free document that you can Google, but we include it in our document library in MAP so that you can always send that. Sometimes a letter writer, maybe it's the first letter they've ever written. So there are some recommendations from med schools about what kinds of things go in that letter. So I definitely recommend including that. And also, if you're using my LORs, you can share your mapped profile. Now, if you don't have mapped, I mean, there's a free level, so everyone should at least have free. But if you don't have mapped, think about resume, CV. You want to arm them with as much background information as possible. Hopefully, they know you well enough that that stuff is just making their job a little easier, right? If they didn't know any of it, that could be a concern, right? But you want to give them enough information about you that they feel comfortable speaking about you fluently.
Yep. So I just wanted to bring up what my LORs or what Mapped Pro looks like and my LORs inside of Mapped Pro. So you can see here, this is just a demo account that we have. You can pick a letter writer if you've already created them in our system, or you can just create based on their name and their email address and all this stuff. You can kind of pick what letter type they are, so you can start keeping track of what letter types you have. In the near future, we'll have the ability for being able to know whether or not you've met the requirements for each of the medical schools that you have on your list, to say, hey, this medical school requires a physician letter and you don't have that, and we can warn you based on your letter writer requests here. Letter type, individual committee letter. We always mark it confidential. You can uncheck it. We do not recommend that. And we have a little bit of information there. And then as you come down here, what Rachel, you were saying is this kind of additional documents. You can include the LOR guidelines. You can add some more documents, a resume, whatever kind of stuff you want to add. And then, then they get access to potentially mapped. It's weird. I don't see the checkbox that's normally here that says give them access to mapped.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Double check that offline.
Usually say, well, we'll check that. But anyway, so that's my LORs, what it looks like.
Oh yeah, thank you, Veronica, for updating the banner. Use code WHITECOAT to get a sale on Mapped. I was using the evergreen banner. Thank you for reminding me. Sale for the next couple days.
Kate says, what is your insights on extracurricular activities that are more than 3 years old and ones that are a few months before the application cycle? Exactly that. Some are old and some are new. Some are red and some are blue. We can turn into a Dr. Seuss book. So Kate, the biggest thing for me when it comes to specifically clinical experiences is if they're 3, 4, 5 years old and you don't have anything new, then that's for me, a potential red flag of you just checked a box and you actually don't really like doing that activity. You don't like being around patients. And so I'd like to see something new. Now, if you have old clinical experience and now you're shoving in clinical experience right before the application cycle, it looks exactly like that. It looks like you're trying to cram in some activities before the application cycle again that maybe you don't really like doing it. So we can make stories about what it looks like based on your timelines and your activities and all that stuff. And ideally, there's consistency. This is what we talk about: consistency when it comes to clinical experience, consistency when it comes to shadowing, consistency when it comes to just the things that you're doing. And consistency doesn't mean if you're a scribe for 8 months and you hate being a scribe, that you shouldn't stop being a scribe and switch to being an EMT because you think you'd like that better. That's not what we mean by consistency. You stop doing the thing that you don't like. But if you stop being a scribe and you don't do anything else for 3 years, then yeah, that's a bad look and potentially shows that you aren't really involved or excited about being with patients.
Yeah. I guess the thing I'll add, kind of just on a what's that analogy? It's the adage, best time to plant a tree 20 years ago, second best time today. So if someone's thinking, oh no, I'm going to look like I crammed in activities, well, you have 6 months till the May cycle opens. So go get those hours. Better late than never.
Yep. Dylan, don't be so petty. It's sure that's the first
It's
time
never happened to Dylan. He's never heard that.
Never. Dylan, don't call me Tom. If I didn't finish a secondary application, did I technically apply to the school? Yes, you did. It's a very common question. If you selected that school for your primary, you applied to that school. That's how the application services consider it. Shazia, if potentially looking at applying again, would you offer services to review my current application for potential problems and how to improve it? Yes, we actually have a specific appointment type, kind of named after the YouTube series that I do, an application renovation type appointment type. That is what we do, Shazia. So if you just go over to medicalschoolhq.net/advising, we have our Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales going on right now. Just go pick a 30-minute pre-med advising session. That is what you need. And we can definitely make that happen for you.
Yeah. It's a great time of year to do it.
It's technically, Rachel, the most wonderful time of the year.
Sure.
That's what the song says. Marie, housing is an issue for me in undergrad, just now in my junior year for spring 24. I am stable. Am I stable? I have 7 W's spread out on my transcript, 3.5 GPA. Should I be planning for a post-bac? Not enough information to answer your question. Marie, if you haven't yet, go create a free account on Mapped during your kind of trial of Mapped Pro, which you get when you open your account. You can put in all of your details and then chat with one of our advisors, and we can really dive into your trends and your transcripts and look at and give you more specific information.
Definitely.
7 W's doesn't equal post-bac. 3.5 doesn't equal post-bac. We need some more info to really answer that.
And just on a personal note, I'm sorry you've had a housing issue, and I'm glad that it seems like you're safer, stabler now. So good for you. I mean, 3.5, if you didn't know where you lived sometimes or you had to move a lot, 3.5 sounds pretty impressive. So I agree with Ryan. Let's talk more about what it means for med school, but you're surviving. I'm proud of you.
Janet asks, I'm so happy to be following your advice. Since 2018, I am pre-vet and have applying your frameworks to my apps. Now interview stage. Woot! What are some resources for MMI other than my school? Yeah. Awesome, Janet. Congrats being in the interview stage. pre-vet. I have a friend actually who I knew in undergrad, same major. We were classmates. She was pre-vet, I was pre-med, and we were talking recently about MapCon. I was like, well, we needed more pre-vet representation. She's like, let me know if you need some help.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, Rachel, MMI.
Yeah, lots of stuff. So again, we're doing our Black Friday sales, a white coat Friday sale. So we're doing that through the end of the week. So if you want to pay for one-on-one advising with one of us, now is a great time to buy that. You can buy now and use it immediately. You can buy now and use it later. If you're looking for more low cost or free resources, on medicalschoolhq.net, we have a free interview question generator. The most important thing is that you practice. Also, Ryan's excellent medical school interview book. And again, I know you said you're pre-vet, but it sounds like you're already using your strong critical thinking skills to apply the similarities. So the book is a low-cost resource. The question generator on our website is free. I definitely recommend practicing with a live human or practicing on some kind of screen share, Zoom or Google Meets or whatever, so you can record yourself and watch back. Because some of it is going to be, I didn't realize how many ums or likes I had, or I didn't realize that I really took 10 seconds to think about that one, and that's a long time before I kind of made eye contact again. You got to catch yourself in those things. But yeah, just practice.
Practice? Talking about practice.
Nice Ted Lasso call out.
Actually, that is a Allen Iverson call.
I know, but the Ted Lasso references the Iverson, and I didn't remember his name.
Allie, what are your thoughts on applying without shadowing hours, but with clinical hours? Doable, but dangerous. I think that should be a new shirt. Doable, but dangerous. I do know of some schools that screen out if you don't have shadowing on your application. So,
well, yeah, exactly.
Well, what?
No, yes, you're right. Yeah, some do, not all, but some.
Yep.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, Allie, if you've listened to us before, we see them as serving two different purposes, right? I'm glad you have clinical hours. I'm glad you're getting patient care experience, but shadowing should be shadowing the entire day in the life of a physician. One of the number one reasons that physicians cite burnout is admin work, right? Dealing with paperwork, charting, insurance. That's a reality of your future job. So we recommend that before you go pay $250,000 to become a physician, that you get a good look at the entire day in the life and not just the bedside care. Now, the truth is sometimes with clinical jobs, you are afforded those opportunities. But, if you've got clinical work, it shouldn't be that hard to ask someone at your job, hey, can I come back for, a 4-8-hour shift when I'm not on the clock and just observe you?
Jean St. Pierre. I purchased the Application Academy program last week. Does it have a start date? Start now. Yeah, we're having sessions. So Jean St. Pierre, if you're having issues accessing Application Academy, please let us know. You should have received some information on how to log in to our kind of learning portal. And in that portal, there is information on how to access our office hours and the calendar and all of that fun stuff. So check it out. Puelesa, what are some clinical hour recommendations? What are your thoughts on applying on 3-year MD schools? So 2 questions. Rachel, first one, clinical.
I mean, anything where you get exposed to patient care can be paid or unpaid, Puelesa. So EMT, medical assistant, OR tech, you just have to start. It's like any other job search, right? You just need to go to Indeed and type in patient care and get a million hits. Volunteering is often appealing to students for clinical because it has more flexible hours. But even though we are 4 years post-COVID, it does still remain that volunteer opportunities are a lot harder to get than paid opportunities. So don't just look at your local hospital, right? You need to look at, nursing homes and urgent care centers, and you're going to have to cast a wide net to find the opportunity.
Did you answer the second part?
Oh, no, I didn't.
The
3-year MD programs.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, most of the 3-year programs are 3 years because they're focused on family medicine. If you know that that's the practice that you want to do, I think it's great.
Yeah, so it'll just depend. Pulesa, I think NYU has some interesting 3-year programs that are a little bit more subspecialized, but it just depends on the school and where those programs lead you to. So check them out. Nothing wrong with them. And should I send an update letter to schools that allow, I love that little caveat, if the only new thing is volunteer experience in non-clinical setting? Rachel, to send or not to send? That is the question.
It's new. Are you severely lacking community service in your application? Do you have something meaningful and exciting to say? I'm glad, Anna, that you knew to schools that allow. But the other thing with sending an update is the update going to be short but substantial? I don't know if you feel like this volunteer experience is something really powerful. So it's hard for me to judge. I will say what we've heard from our friends who are in admissions or were recently in admissions is that even for schools that allow update letters, there's no guarantee that it gets to the people who consider your application. Sometimes it's just a note in the file, or the email gets read and that one person read it. So if you want to send it short and sweet, but just remember, it may or may not have an impact.
Yep. Megana, hello. Is it possible to get a brief look at Application Academy? Yeah, why not? Let me open it up here. Oops, not there.
I'm going to mute. I'm going to cough.
Let me log in. All right. So, share my screen. Window, Application Academy. All right. So, Application Academy. So this is when you log in, this is what it looks like. And you can see here, Application Academy. I will click Open Course. And right off the bat, you have some info here, lots of introduction stuff. Start here, way to get books, way to open, see where the calendar and kind of subscribe to the calendar, how to submit your essays for review, because a lot of our sessions we're actually reviewing your essays or parts of your essays, and we do it in a group setting. They're typically, I don't know, Rachel, at this point, there's not a lot because we're kind of in a slow season, but kind of at peak, there's 10, 15, maybe 20 people on a call at a time. That's pretty rare. Most students use Application Academy asynchronously, meaning they just watch the recordings. You can still submit stuff even if you're not going to come live to a session. So that's a way we make it equitable. How to sign up for your Mapped account, because you get mapped with Application Academy Facebook group. You get a discount on advising services, some information about instructors, and more. All right, so if I scroll down, scroll doesn't work well when I'm zoomed in. So you can see we have some course modules. So these are pre-recorded kind of sessions that I have done to just talk about different parts of the application. Lots of short, easy to digest information about personal statement, what to write about, what not to write about, all that kind of fun stuff. So we have personal statement, activities, extracurriculars, secondary applications, interviews, school lists, TMDSAS specific stuff. And so lots of information, lots more that can be added. You can see we have kind of a suggestion box that you can kind of leave some tips at. And then all of our sessions are recorded and they all end up here. So you can see some open Q&A sessions. We haven't had one for a couple weeks. Personal statement sessions. We had these still look like they're updating appropriately. So we should get our team on that. That's interesting. So some sessions there, activity sessions, other essays. Oh, that's why it's ending up in the wrong spot.
Okay.
So this should end up in a personal statement spot. So you can see this was last night's session. So they're uploading. They were just ending up in the wrong spot. So yeah, we cover lots of different things. And then just to kind of show you what it looks like, let me go back to an older one where we have a lot more submissions. Let me go back here. Let's do an activities one from June. So what it looks like is we're just going through different submissions. You can see that they are anonymous. Why is it not zooming in? It won't let me zoom in for some reason. Let me see if I can do it this way. Nope. Anyway, I'll try it this way. There we go. You can see they're anonymous. They have kind of private codes that students use. And you can see this one. I don't know how well you can see. It's pretty small. Community service, volunteer, medical, clinical. And so we just review and go. And then students give feedback. The advisor gives feedback. And we go from there. So that is, for the most part, Application Academy.
Yeah. And this is kind of explained when you get into the course, but we use a flipped classroom model. So basically, your textbooks are the books you already know and love from Dr. Ryan Gray. Another form of your textbooks are those videos. So it doesn't have the information the same word for word, but you can watch the videos, you can read the books, you can do both. So we recommend that you at least read the chapters of the books that are relevant to whatever you're working on, right? So if you're working on your personal statement, you should at least learn about that. And then you're coming to the workshops to ask questions, to brainstorm, to get essay review. So the idea is sort of get the basic information on your own schedule and then come to the sessions, not to hear us just wax poetic about the personal statement for 45 minutes, which any of us could do, but you've already got that from the book or the video. Now you're coming to the workshops to really work on it. For me, this is my third year of doing Academy, right? Academy's 4 years old, but it's my third year, I think. The thing that I continue to love is the community. It's a good mix of non-trad and traditional. The non-trad ranges a lot. There's 20-somethings, 30-somethings. We've got some friends who are in med school now, who were in our cohort a few years ago, who were in their 50s. So it's a nice wide range of ages and backgrounds, and everybody's so supportive. Dr. Gray's maxim for a long time has been collaboration, not competition. And that Academy group just embraces it. Everyone is cheering each other on. When we're doing essay review, we do it as a group and we do give each other feedback. So obviously the advisors are leading it, but you as a peer will get better at writing your own essays in part through helping critique your peers' essays and learning to give helpful feedback, right? It's constructive, it's kind, but also going, oh, I can see where you were a little salesy there, or I'm not sure what these sentences are adding. You could cut characters, right? So we're all kind of working on that together all the time. And I just, the atmosphere for me is just a joy. I think for people who feel alone in the process, Academy is a wonderful way to realize like there are people who are with me in this who want me to succeed alongside of them.
Yep. All right. Days T, hello. I interviewed at 2 DO schools, but got rejected. I've taken the MCAT 3 times, 491, 489, 490, and I believe that is my obstacle. Would you recommend an SMP or try MCAT prep again? So you answered your own question. Mm-hmm. If the MCAT is your obstacle, an SMP does not improve your MCAT score. You need to work on your MCAT. And 491, 489, 490 is basically the same score 3 times. And that in of itself is a red flag that says you're not getting, you're not asking yourself critical questions to improve your score. Rachel, you've worked with MCAT companies for a large part of your life. What should Days T be doing here?
Well, first of all, Days, take heart. I have known people and will continue to know people who got into med school on their 4th MCAT. So it's not fun, but you're not alone. This is still possible. But yeah, I agree with Ryan. You need to do some serious reflection. Something with your prep was not going right, and you need to figure out what it was and fix it. And sometimes it's the way you're studying, right? You're studying passive and you need to do more active learning. What I find often is it's just not enough hours, right? So can you clear time in your life to really respect the MCAT, give it the 300 or 400 hours over 3 or 4 months that it needs? It's a hard thing to do, right? I don't know your situation. I don't know how busy you are with school or work or family or other obligations. I'm not saying this lightly, but that's a huge step of it, is you've got to make the time. And then with that time, you have to use it wisely. And yeah, I definitely strongly recommend that you do not take another official MCAT until you have consistently seen practice test scores that are at your goal, like at least above 500, right? Because it's possible to get into med school without a 500 MCAT, but it's very rare. So, I mean, we're really hoping for at least a 10-point jump for you, if not more. And that's going to take some work, but it's possible. Good luck.
Good luck. Come to Days T. Come to our Instagram live on Friday, where I will be with Blueprint MCAT, one of their instructors. And when I do Instagram live with one of their instructors, we typically give away an Blueprint MCAT course. So come and maybe you'll win. You have to participate and ask questions and all that fun stuff.
So I just put that in the ticker, Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. It's your Instagram handle, right? Medical School HQ. And it's this specific Friday, December 1st, that you're doing the one with Blueprint. Right?
Yep. Yeah, first Friday of the month is historically where we do those.
Right. So Ryan's there most Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern, but first Friday of the month will be with Blueprint. Cool.
Yes, yes. I will not be there next Friday, though. I will be visiting a prison.
Okay.
My team doesn't know about that yet, but yeah, that's fun. That'll be fun. Anyways, Speppy,
I trust you.
Do you have any? I will not be in handcuffs. I will not be visiting a prison as an inmate, or will I? I don't know. Do you have any fave comparable resources for those physician hopefuls wanting to go to school and work as a doctor in Europe? So even though they may be from the US or Canada, they don't want to match here. Yeah, no. The process is so different in Europe because students kind of go directly from high school to medical school. They kind of bypass undergrad, and it's typically a 6-year kind of combined undergrad med school process. So I know they have a process for students like yourself. It's not our wheelhouse, so we don't know.
Yeah.
At least I don't know. Rachel, do you know?
I don't know. Good luck. And yeah, do some Googling. Maybe get on a VPN so it thinks you're in Europe. You get better hits.
Yeah. Miles and miles and miles. I'm a new grad nurse working in the hospital currently, considering med school. Is it a bad idea to stop working to do full-time post-bac? I think this work is a strength, but still need prereqs. Rachel, we work with a lot of non-trad career changers like Miles here. What do you think?
I think either is okay, Miles. I love that you're getting clinical work. I love that you know that that's a strength. If you are lucky enough that you can afford to stop working and do a full-time post-bac, that's certainly going to be the most efficient option. And I do think it has a small advantage in some cases of showing med schools, hey, this is what my grades look like when I'm fully dedicated to school. But I've also known a ton of people who had to do DIY post-bacs part-time over years, and some of them have still gotten to med school. So I don't think it's a bad idea to stop working to do the full-time post-bac. Going back to what Ryan said before, clinical should be consistent, but maybe you have to stop working your full-time job and you go get a 5-hour a month hospice volunteer thing, right? You should still have a finger in patient care, but it doesn't have to be full-time work.
Yeah, can move to per diem or something there,
Yeah.
especially as a nurse. Celine, hi, Dr. Ray. And Rachel. I am a first-year pre-med. I'm planning on taking the MCAT my sophomore junior year. I was wondering what your advice is on the timing when to take the MCAT. Rachel, we have a tool that may give a custom timeline for students like Celine.
Yeah. So Celine, if you go to map.com, we've got, and we've talked about free level, paid level, currently on sale, white coat. We do have a customized roadmap where when you tell us when you're hoping to go to med school, we can help you map that out. Sophomore, junior year is typically about right. The big thing is you need to wait and take it when you've taken enough prereqs that you're ready to prepare. Because although I'm always beating the MCAT is a critical reading drum, that MCAT is a critical reading test, it is also a science knowledge test. So you need your 2 years of chem, or at least a year and a half, like at least one semester of OChem. You need your biochem. You need at least one semester of physics. So it's very challenging for people to be ready to do it before summer after sophomore year in most cases. But your mileage may vary. I don't know what courses you've taken and what courses you still have to take.
Yeah. Laura, what, in your experience, would cause a medical school to reject an applicant post-interview? Let's say the interview went well. According to who? I guess my question stems from what they look at again. So I love this question because the answer is our same answer we always give. It depends. It depends on the school. So there are some schools that will throw out everything. They won't look at your application again. They won't look at your stats again. They won't look at your MCAT score. And they'll just go based on interview feedback and the feedback that the interviewer gives you. There are other schools that kind of use all of the information again and compare everything again. And so it really just depends on the school. And we don't have any insight into that. That is typically stuff that is not public information. Right. Some schools may talk about it at like open Q&As and stuff. And so unless we attend those or get feedback from those from students, it's really hard to know. My first thought, though, is that how do you know the interview went well? That's my first question.
Exactly.
We're bad at subjectively judging that.
Yeah. Which isn't to say we think it went badly, Laura. We just like you weren't the one, you weren't the interviewer, you were the interviewee.
Yep.
Sorry, I just had to dismiss something. I think just anecdotally, something that I've heard Courtney, who is one of our former directors of admissions here on our advising team, say is that often the admissions committee is blessed to have more qualified candidates than they can accommodate. So a lot of times it's not, should this person be a physician? It's more, is this person someone I can really see at our school? Right. So again, there's going to be a million reasons, but something to think about, especially for anyone going into interview prep, is have you clearly articulated why that school is a fit for you in your own mind so you can share that excitement with the school? Because, they're looking for fit. They're lucky that they're going to be able to probably round up the number of qualified future physicians they need. They want the ones who are excited about going to that school for very specific reasons. So I think that's one thing you can definitely work on, of like when you're talking about, I think it went well, is did it go well in that I was clear and I made eye contact and I was presentable and fluent? Or did it go well in that, like, I knew why I wanted to go there and I had a chance to tell them.
Jean St. Pierre, back again. Community letter versus LOR.
I wonder if Jean St. Pierre means committee letter.
Yeah. So committee letter is an LOR. Again, this is one where you may have access to a committee letter. Great. Utilize it. If you can get one, great. and it typically satisfies all the needs except for UCLA and maybe one other school that I've recently heard about. But yeah, if you can get a committee letter, go for it.
Yep.
Raccoon, does a good graduate GPA sometimes replace a very low undergraduate GPA? If I get a 3.8 in graduate GPA, will it prevent a sub 3 undergraduate GPA from getting screened out? Rachel?
Well, first, our caveat of 213 med schools in America, 213 possible answers, right? I don't know if your graduate GPA is science-based or not. If you got a 3.8 and Masters of Public Health, it may not help at all because you just proved you're good at social science and not hard sciences. And different med schools have different ways of looking. It can't hurt to get that killer GPA, but I don't know how much it'll help because I don't know. You mentioned 3.0 undergrad. Is your science lower or higher than that in undergrad? I don't know how much of your graduate is science. So insufficient data, Raccoon. I'm sorry. But you can go to Mapped and you can fill out a profile and we'll look at it with you there.
Yep. Sunglass class. I will be working at my school's on-campus clinic as a volunteer semester, and some of my responsibilities will include taking vitals and height and weight of patients. Would this count as clinical? Is it clinical? Yeah, you're basically working as an MA.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Malay, you've posted this a couple times. I don't see a question. My mentor suggested I apply to her SMP program at Baylor versus the DIY post-bac I was considering doing. She mentioned it was structured and had good MCAT prep. I've taken all prereqs except biochem.
So the question is SMP versus do-it-yourself post-bac.
Pros and cons to both.
Yeah. What works better for you? So I think the question ultimately that students ask with the question that's not being asked here is, what do med schools want? Mm-hmm. And med schools want to see academic ability, and you can prove academic ability through an SMP program. You can prove academic ability through a do-it-yourself post-bac. So I don't think there's a right or a wrong. What works best for your budget, what works best for your schedule, for location and driving and all of that fun stuff. So.
Yep. One quick thing I will say about MCAT prep with the SMP, a lot of master's programs, not just SMPs, but also sometimes the masters in biomed sciences include MCAT prep. And I love that they do. More value for your tuition. It is very challenging to complete a rigorous master's and do MCAT prep. So just keep that in mind when you're planning timing. Find out if your MCAT prep is going to be available to you even when you're not in semester, because I see so many people go through master's programs, not use their MCAT prep, and then try to use it later because they just couldn't get both done at the same time. And I think that's true whether it's DIY or SMP. It's just about how busy you are. So just allow space in your schedule for both.
Sneha, how do you recommend moving on from one bad grade in undergrad to keep yourself motivated and focused? You take one step and then another step and then another step. Yeah. Rachel, unfortunately, a lot of students define who they are based on their GPA, based on their grades. And a lot of pre-meds are very high achieving students who have never struggled until they do.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they get discouraged and start questioning whether or not they can do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sneha, I feel this, right? I mean, you've probably been schooled to be as close to perfect as possible for a lot of your academic life. And now you're finding out as you get into a more and more rigorous and elite academic group that you're a human being who occasionally has stumbles. I think that's fine. In fact, I think it's going to make you a more resilient, better adult. To me, failing is not having the bad thing happen. Failing is having the bad thing happen and not learning from it and allowing it to happen again and again and continue to demoralize you. So if you need to wallow or cry or whatever, go for it. Like, let those emotions out, but then step back. It's just one grade. Ryan and I know someone who is currently a resident at Cleveland Clinic who had to drop out of community college 3 different times in her 20s before she finally got her life together. And, we talk about upward trend. She had to go get a full 90 credit degree, right? Like, she had to completely show med schools that she was a completely different person studies academically than she had been before, right? But she's a resident now. And again, that's one example, but one bad grade, probably it's not even going to get noticed on your transcript when you apply. So I think for you, the big thing is, instead of thinking about what is that grade going to mean for my future, think about, what did I not allow myself this semester where I got the bad grade? Did I carry too many classes? Did I try to do too much with my clubs or my jobs or my extracurricular? Was I shy about going to office hours? Did I use YouTube and Khan? Did I find out if my school has free peer tutoring? Like, set yourself up for success. Ask yourself the tough questions about what you can do differently to the next, because I'm not going to say you're never going to get a bad grade again, but the next time you see a bad grade coming, you think, oh, I've been here before. I just have to dig in and go find some resources. You're going to get it. It's going to be great.
Celine, is being a phlebotomist considered clinical work? You guys with your typos today. I work as a phlebotomist at my local community hospital and draw blood. Yeah, of course it's clinical work. Come on. Use your brains, people. I know you got some critical thinking skills up in there. Joel, how do med schools view withdrawals from courses? And how many is bad, if you will? It depends. Yeah. Rachel, what is our general thought on courses?
I mean, I'd rather you withdraw than fail. And I already just gave a big speech to Sneha about learning from it. All of that applies, Joel. I was saying all that to her as you were typing your question. So hopefully you were multitasking and listening. If you had a rough semester, you got sick, bad breakup, someone in your family, was sick. Rough semesters happen, rough classes happen, but you don't want to have an extreme pattern of them, right? And we had someone before who said, I have 7. What's that going to mean for me? And our answer to her was, well, we need to look at it more, right? Because these things do vary, but try to have as few withdrawals as possible. But if you need a withdrawal, then just figure out why, so that next time you don't have to do it.
Yep.
To the hour.
Yeah. We have one more easy question. Or should we wrap up? Easy question. How does being a pharmacy tech?
It looks like a retail clinical job.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's for the future, let's pick less of these it depends questions because they're really hard to answer. Every medical school is different, unfortunately. And from my standpoint, a pharmacy tech, especially like Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, all of those kind of corner stores, it's a retail job, not a clinical job. So good luck.
Quick question from Celine about Blueprint versus Mapped. Again, I think typo, you probably meant Mapped up there. Mapped is a free pre-med tracking software. We work closely with Blueprint, but they are a completely independent company, and they do MCAT prep.
Yeah.
As well as, I think, LSAT prep and maybe like some board exam. Like, they do a bunch, but MCAT is what
Blueprint is growing. Yeah. So one of the confusing things is Mapped / medical school headquarters. We offer advising services. Blueprint also does advising stuff as well. But obviously, we prefer you to work with us, medical school headquarters, for our advising services, because we have awesome advisors. But yeah, Blueprint MCAT is who we partner with for MCAT stuff. All right, friends, we are typically here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Premed.tv is our YouTube channel. Go check us out. We still have our Black Friday / Cyber Monday sale happening now. Go to medicalschoolhq.net. Use that promo code WHITECOAT to save lots of money on all of the things that we can help you with. Essay prep, interview prep, just general questions like the student asked earlier about not getting any interviews, whatever may happen during the application cycle, and really trying to figure out what next steps to take. That's what we do day in, day out. We have an amazing team of advisors, small, intimate team of advisors helping students throughout the year. So come hang out with us. Rachel, thanks for coming on. We'll see everyone soon.
Bye.